Welcome to the Modern Woman Warrior Show. I'm Amber Fight.
And I'm Louisa Kate. This is a show created by women for women and is centered on all things personal protection and self-defense.
If you're joining us here for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, thanks again for being here.
If you like what you see and hear, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us.
Please take the time to give us a like and drop us a comment. We really do take the time to try to answer all of your comments, and we would love to hear what you have to say.
Getting involved by subscribing and commenting is the first step toward making a commitment to defend yourself and your loved ones.
Then, if the worst thing happens to you, you can say to yourself and your attacker,
"Wrong woman, wrong day." You may notice in today's video that I am wearing a hat that doesn't have to do with shooting. My good friend Keltz gave it to me. He owns the Noble Jones Tours, which is rated as the best walking tour in Savannah. So when you warriors come down to Savannah to take a class with us, I will get you in touch with Keltz so you can take a tour in the same weekend.
Gotta take that class, it's awesome. It's awesome. Also, we would like to thank my good friend James, as well as Lana Bryan from Right to Bear, for loaning us some pistols for these tests. Right to Bear is the premier self-defense insurance company in the world. Check them out. Click on the link on our website to get a special discounted price on the yearly or get locked in on a monthly rate.
We are really excited about today's show.
Yes, we are. Today we are doing another detailed side-by-side range test and analysis for a great concealed carry or home defense and or range gun.
In January, we did a similar evaluation for the best concealed carry for women by comparing the highly popular Glock 43X and the relatively new but very innovative Walther PDP F-Series.
Since January, the Walther PDP F-Series has become super hot. I mean, why not? It is the first super duty capable pistol that is just like the Modern Woman Warrior Show, designed by women for women. And that took a lot for me to say because I'm an H&K girl.
And beyond that, it is the first in-depth side-by-side comparison that we have seen with the ultra-popular Walther PDP F-Series and the Glock 19.
Most women look at the Glock 19 as being a little big for concealed carry, even though it has a great reputation as a super reliable pistol. That's all my husband shoots. Glock.
Right. And in January, when we matched up the 43X with the PDPF, our testing showed that the PDPF series was every bit a match for the Glock 43X. And in some ways, it was even better as a CCW.
That was a good test. Go back and watch that video. In fact, our testing showed that in many of the areas, the F-Series was a far better CCW pistol than the highly touted Glock 43X.
That's true. Today, we have an even tougher test. We want to find out if the Walther PDP F-Series is a match for the almost legendary Glock 19. To make this even more interesting, we are going to test the mid-size Glock with a 4-inch barrel and see how the compact Walther PDP F-Series with a 3.5-inch barrel matches up to it.
Most handgun experts agree that the full-size handgun is best for home defense, but difficult to carry because of the size and weight. They say the mid-size guns are better for shooting, but not as easy to conceal, and that the compacts are much tougher to shoot accurately, but easier to conceal.
That's so true. In our previous test, the same compact PDPF series beat the Glock compact pistol, the 43X, easily. Today, we want to see if the PDPF can handle both of the compact and mid-size rolls together at the same time.
We'll see. If it will, that could mean one less pistol to buy, but more importantly, one less pistol to train with.
That's true.
We have built an exhaustive list of tests for both these guns. Here is the list of all the tests that we're going to perform today.
If you want to stop the video and write down this list of tests, feel free. But now, let's take a look at what we did at the range.
When we got to the range, we set up our equipment.
First, we want to do our accuracy test, so we set up our Ransom Master Series rest.
The Ransom rest is great. When we sight in a pistol, the Master Series rest takes out all the marksmanship out of the equation.
At the same time, we set up our Competition Electronics Pro Chronograph to clock the muzzle velocity of each round. We want to document any difference in velocity between the two pistols to determine if the half-inch difference in barrel length between the compact Walther and the mid-size Glock has any significance.
With each shot, we will measure the felt recoil based on what angle the Ransom Master Series rest is pushed up. The more degrees the pistol climbs, the more felt recoil the shooter will experience. The really great thing is that the Ransom rest is so well calibrated that the difference in degrees the rest is moved by the shot translates consistently to felt recoil. This measurement gives an accurate readout of the felt recoil on each pistol.
So accuracy, muzzle velocity, and felt recoil will be measured simultaneously.
As always, we will run the film showing the actual test with the 2 pistols in fast motion, so you don't get bored, with a camera on the ransom rest and a camera on the velocity readout. After each shot group, we'll measure again so you can see the shot group again.
Okay, so we're starting with the Glock 19, and the first thing I'm going to do is zero the angle finder. So now that that's zeroed, we're going to take that off. I'm going to charge the pistol. Eyes and ears, everybody? Okay, here we go. So we're going to record as we go. We're going to do 10 shots. We've got 21.25 and 10.54. And we're going to switch out and do the Walther. Okay, now we're going to go down and we're going to measure our shot placement. Here we are with the Walther PDPF.
And I'm looking at the,
Yeah.
so you don't have to read it.
Okay, you ready? Up. .45. All right, so we're going to do the best 8 out of 10. So we're going to leave this one out and this one out.
Okay.
And we're going to go from here to there, and that's 1.680.
Now that we've done all the hard testing, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's go shoot. We did all the objective testing that could be measured. Now let's shoot them and see which gun performs the best for each of us.
All 3 of our drills were shot at 7 yards. The best run for each gun will be compared to determine the winner. Drill number 1 was essentially a warm-up. We each shot the Walther and the Glock from compressed ready. We punched out and fired a 10-shot controlled rapid fire group. This allowed us to get familiar with each pistol, and it gave us a chance to judge the sights and trigger as well as the overall feel of the gun.
For drill number 2, I shot 3 failure to stop drills with each pistol. This consisted of 2 rounds center mass followed by 1 shot to the head box. The target is a USPSA target backer, and we scored the targets using the standard match scoring of time plus penalties. This drill allowed us to determine which pistol we thought allowed for easiest sight acquisition as well as trigger control and fast trigger reset control.
Drill 3 was 3 shots with an emergency reload, followed by 3 more shots on the timer. The backer and scoring were the same as Amber's in the second drill. This drill was designed to judge the ease of sight acquisition, ease of trigger and recoil control, but also the ease and reliability of how well the controls of each gun allow for speedy gun handling.
Shooter understand the course of fire. Shooter ready. Stand by. 1.89, 0 down. Shooter understand the course of fire. Shooter ready. Stand by. 1.79, 1 down. Shooter ready. Stand by. 5.8. Shooter ready. Stand by. 6.20, 0 down.
So let's compare everything that we have tested and evaluated. Let's start with the size of the guns. The Glock 19 Gen 5 is a mid-sized pistol being over 7 inches long and weighing over 20 ounces. It has a 15-round magazine and a larger capacity magazine can be acquired. But even with the 17-round extended magazine, the magazine sticks out past the handle. The large magazine works, but it looks unfinished. The Walther is somewhat smaller with a total length below 7 inches and an unloaded weight under 20 ounces. Technically, the Walther is referred to as a compact pistol, but it is a fairly large compact. Is it easier to conceal than the Glock? Perhaps, but not significantly so. The Walther also has a 15-round magazine and a 17-round is available. The PDP F series shares magazines with the Walther PPQ. The extended magazine fits into the pistol better and simply enhances the grip of the pistol. It is a very finished look and looks like it belongs on the gun.
Since we are looking at these pistols for women shooters, grip size, reach to the trigger, and reach to the magazine release are important factors to consider. Neither Louisa nor I particularly have small hands, with big hands, but these are factors that are very important to many women who do have smaller hands. The Glock has a 5.5 diameter at the grip, which is more than 1/3 of an inch larger than the Walther. The reach to the trigger is more than 1/3 of an inch further on the Glock. That may not sound like a lot, but I've seen women in our classes that could not reach the trigger properly on any mid-size gun except for the PDPF series. The effort it takes to rack the slide is also important. Although we have no way to measure that force, Luis and I both believe the force it took to rack the slide was significantly greater with the Glock than it was with the Walther. Again, this was not an issue for us, but it definitely is going to be an issue for women who have strength issues in their hands or arms, or someone who has arthritis, especially in the elderly.
That's true. So both guns are striker-fired semi-automatic pistols with polymer frames. Both have a bladed trigger safety as well as a robust built-in safety in case the gun is dropped. The triggers of both guns have an easily distinguishable reset. When we tested trigger pull, the Glock averaged 4.43 pounds to the release, and the Walther averaged 3.75 pounds. But really, that is where the similarity ends. The Glock trigger has a significant take-up to reach the wall. Once you press past the wall, the Glock creeps to the release. To get the trigger to reset after the first shot took longer on the Glock. As far as the Walther trigger, there is a reason that many people think the Walther has the best out-of-the-box trigger in the world. The trigger on the PDPF series may be the best trigger in the Walther line. Since I own and have shot many different pistols and models of pistols, I would have to agree. The take-up to the wall is very short. The release to fire the shot is crisp without the slightest creep, and the distance to reset the trigger is roughly half of that on the Glock 19. I had not shot a Gen 5 for quite a while, and although it was better than the Gen 4s that I've shot in the past, it's not even in the same world with the PDPF series trigger, and I don't know what Amber just put up over there, but I have a feeling it has something to do with HK.
The accuracy off the ransom rest was really close, with both pistols shooting average groups of under 1.5 inches at 10 yards. The Glock, with its slightly longer barrel, had an average group of 1.33 inches, and the Walther shot an average group of 1.46 inches. Both guns showed acceptable accuracy for what they are built to do. I should also point out that we only used normal 124 grain full metal jacket ammunition. Different ammunition may be more or less accurate. Stay tuned for a future video where we test different types of ammunition. Felt recoil was measured by the ransom rest as being 6% greater in the Walther than the Glock. We predicted this result because the PDP-F has a shorter barrel and is lighter than the Glock, although neither of us really felt that difference. This is possibly due to the 22-degree grip angle, which I don't care for, on the Glock, as opposed to the classic 19-degree grip angle on the Walther. Finally, the Glock averaged 20 feet per second higher velocity than the Walther. The averages were 1,036 feet per second for the Walther and 1,056 feet per second for the Glock. Again, the shorter barrel made that very predictable. However, 20 feet per second would not make a significant difference in terminal ballistic performance.
Correct. Based on all this testing and putting a fair amount of lead downrange with both guns, Amber and I have given our own subjective readings for both guns. Like all of our videos with results, feel free to stop the video and look over them. So I gave the Walther an overall score of 90 and the Glock an 80. Using our rating scale, I had the Walther at 44 and the Glock at 33 out of 45, out of a possible of 45 total. There were 3 places that I scored the Glock much lower than the Walther, and here is why. On sight adjustability, I gave the Glock a 2 because the only way to adjust the sights is with a sight press, which makes sighting in at the range much more difficult. This adds to the cost for the shooter. I have a sight press, and I know Amber does too, but I just kind of felt like the average woman purchasing a gun is not going to want to purchase a sight press and then learn how to use it as well. I gave the ease and use of the controls a 3 for the Glock because I had a really hard time pressing the magazine release. And again, that could be a personal thing, but for me, I really couldn't get to the magazine release. And once I did press it, I had to almost shake the gun to get the magazine to fully drop out. So I felt like it was wasting seconds on my magazine reload, or on my emergency reload. It was much slower to drop out of the gun than the Walther magazine is. On the trigger, I gave the Glock a 3 and the Walther a 4. I had a bit of trouble with the Walther trigger sticking. It would stick a little bit, and then I'd have to come off of the trigger a little bit and repress it to make it go. It may have been because it's brand new, I'm not really sure, but I had a little bit of trouble with that, so I gave it a 4 instead of a 5. And although the Glock trigger has a wall, and I was able to use trigger reset, I felt that once I found that wall, there was a significant amount of what I would call creep before I could get that shot off. I just felt like it was sloppy, and it made it very difficult for me to be precise with my shots. So overall, I personally liked the Walther better because it felt better in my hands and it was easier for me to handle. However, I think the Glock is a very good pistol, and as we frequently say, it comes down to personal opinion. So that's kind of my take on it. So Amber, what did you find?
So for me, well, first, Louisa and I had very similar scores on our subjective testing score sheet right here. You see it's kind of a mess because I kind of went back and forth. She went a little more into detail. I'm going to kind of give a generalized scoring here. So I gave the Walther an overall score of 85 and the Glock a 70. I've been shooting for over 20 years, and for the past 6 years, I've been an avid H&K shooter. So I'm very kind of particular about the guns that I shoot. My husband shoots Glock. He has pretty much every Glock known to man. So shooting the Walther and Glock it was a very different feel for me. None of these are a game changer for me. None of the stuff that we scored. However, they could be a game changer for someone who is a new pistol shooter or has just purchased their pistol, especially for women. The adjustability of sights is a major difference between the two on my scoring sheet. That's one that stood out to me. Now for the H&K, I have to have a sight press. Right. Now for me, that's not a big deal because we have one. We own one, and guns are a big deal in my life and my line of work. But for someone, a woman out there, like Louisa had already discussed, she may not have the ability to purchase one or have one at home or want to even have any interest in knowing how to use one. So that's kind of a big deal. With the Walther, you can make adjustments directly on the pistol, whereas the Glock, you can't. Secondly, the size and ease and the use of controls such as the slide lock and the mag release. For the average woman, and this is based on hundreds of students that we have instructed, and they've tested a lot of our guns from Smith & Wesson, Walther, Glock, H&K, Ruger, then the list goes on. The Glock was a little bit more difficult, whereas the Walther is a lot smoother and easier to find and access these controls. This is very important when you are under pressure, or if you're a relatively new shooter or new to shooting. Now, I did have 3 malfunctions with the Walther PDP when I started, which I was incredibly disappointed because I've shot Luis's PDP-F series several times, and to be quite honest, I hope HK doesn't hate me for this, but I loved shooting it. It's actually a pretty incredible gun. However, I was really disappointed with it, but I did go back and I oiled it up a little bit, and it shot beautifully.
And again, maybe that's because it was new. I don't know.
It was a newer gun.
My Walther doesn't do any of those things, so I'm not sure.
When I did do the same drills using the Glock 19, I knew I was already going to struggle with a 22-degree grip angle. That is also something I think the shooters need to take into consideration when choosing their pistol. Other than that, all the ratings were pretty close for me with Walther and Glock. I think they're both great guns. They kind of run neck and neck for me. However, a lot of the considerations that Louisa brought up in her scoring, I think that a newer shooter or anybody looking at purchasing between these two guns should take those into consideration.
Good. So we started out asking the question, will the Walther PDP-F series fulfill both roles of being both a mid-sized pistol for the range as well as the role of being a CCW? And we matched it up against a really good pistol, the Glock 19 Gen 5. Amber and I decided that yes, it will fulfill both roles. Mm-hmm. So what is the end result? Which pistol won? The Walther PDP-F or the Glock 19? The Walther pistol was the clear winner. However, the Glock 19 Gen 5 performed better than the Glock 43X in comparison with the Walther PDP-F. But again, as Amber and I always say, and I just said it a minute ago, it comes down to personal preference. Both are really good pistols. We just personally like the Walther better. Again, though, this is why you really need to go shoot a pistol before you purchase it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our side-by-side comparison, and we certainly hope you learned a lot watching the cool process we used.
Again, as always, we want to thank our friends over at Ransom International for their generous support of our channels. They continue to upgrade our grip inserts, and we can't thank them enough. It would not be possible for us to give you this content without them. So if you like what you saw, hit subscribe and jump on over to Ransom International channel and hit subscribe for them as well. I know they would really appreciate your support.
They will. They got some cool stuff. So we'll have the results in the comments, so make sure to give us some likes, jump in the comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say, and we hope to see you guys again soon. Stay tuned for another video next Tuesday.
Bye guys. See you next week.
Bye.